Hey guys, my name is Malana B, Jayde, and I'm a business developer that can help bring your dreams to reality through the magic of project management and self-development tools. Today, we're going to chat about one of my favorite resources, which is astrology. Woo! And we're going to kind of take a very basic approach to how to read your birth chart. This is extremely basic. If you guys know anything about astrology, it is a very complex system. So if the more you get into it, the more you invest into it, the more you'll learn about yourself. I'm literally always learning things as I go, as I'm talking to other astrologers, as I'm studying and taking classes and courses. I'm learning so much more to like the first step in the journey. So do not get overwhelmed. And even if you learn these core foundations, it's really helpful. It's just a good starting place. And if you're not in love with astrology, there's so many other self-development tools that we'll discuss on this channel. So make sure you subscribe, because I'm like obsessed with self-development and self-care. So you're going to see a lot of different resources. If this is not for you, then I have a couple other like things that may be helpful that you may fall into a little bit easier. But anywho, back to what this video is about. It is how to enter your birth chart, how to read your birth chart. And we're going to start off with the primary triad. And by the way, guys, another little disclaimer, this is my way of doing things. There is a lot of different ways that people approach this process. This is from my experience, my style, my me. So if you don't like the way that it is, there's several different other resources that you can use. But I want to put that disclaimer to kind of like go ahead and quiet anything else. This is not a competition. This is just me explaining what I would do if I was you. Okay, so first things first is that we're going to want to download our birth chart. So yours. You're going to want to download your birth chart. I love this website. It is astro.com. That is where I suggest you go. There's a ton of different websites. When you like Google birth chart, you'll probably see a ton of options. Astro.com is where I would tell you to go. It's going to ask you for your hometown. It's going to ask you for your date of birth. Those things you're gonna be like, check mark, got it, check mark, got it. Difficult part is going to be your time of birth. Guys, if you don't know your time of birth, it is ways to get around it. We will talk about those ways in another video, but please take a moment to try to get your time of birth from like your mom. Beg her to go through all the baby resources that she has from you. I know my mom found my time of birth on a little baby bracelet. I have a picture of it. Actually, I'm gonna throw a picture up right here. Isn't it so cute? So my mom kind of digged through all her little resources and she found my time of birth. Sometimes it might be on like a birth certificate. It might be on like, you know how they give you one at the hospital that's not the official one that comes from the health department. So like just check any resources that you can to get your time of birth, because it is extremely helpful. But if you don't have your time of birth for any reason, there is other ways that we can go about helping with this process, but we're just not going to address it in this video. So it is going to ask you again for your time of birth, for your date of birth, and for your hometown. And I use the house system Placidus. That is the one that I kind of learned from. So this is kind of what we're going to stick to right now. Let's just stick to Placidus, okay? So once you generate this birth chart, you're going to be like, why am I watching this video? This is confusing. All these glibbly gobbly symbols and all these things that I don't understand. It just looked like you walked into a mad scientist like place and they hand you this sheet of paper and it's like, these are all the answers to your life. That's how it's going to feel. I'm so sorry, guys. So we're going to take a really simple approach to just get you started on this process. So you got your gobbly gobbly weird symbolic map, right? So it's broken. We're going to start with the foundation. This is like your cement, right, to your home. Is that right? The thing that they lay in the beginning? We're going to just say it's the cement. It's the foundation of your home. It is your sun, your moon, and your rising signs. By this little graphic here, sun, moon, and rising, right? So what does that mean, Malana? Because we following you and we have the gobbly chart, but we don't know what sun, moon, and rising sign means. So the sun sign is what you're going to be most familiar with. Sun sign is like You know how you meet your friend and you're like, oh my God, he's so or you meet a guy and you're like, he's so interesting. You ask like, oh, what is your sign, right? And he goes, oh, I'm a Leo, I'm a Aquarius, and you're like, oh my God. So you like go on Google and you like put all those terms in and you're just like, oh my gosh, he's amazing or whatever. That's the sun sign that you're asking and requesting from. That's what we're most familiar with, is the sun sign. But most people don't know that there's 2 more elements that really tell you about it, like really gets you a clear picture. Like the sun sign is like a blurry photo. And then when you get the sun, moon, and rising, it's everything. So the sun sign is your ego. We all know what the ego is. It's your self-esteem, it's your ego, and it's also who you're becoming. So for any reason, if you read the sun sign and you're like, this is not 100%, like, I don't really resonate. I know for when I'm a Pisces, and I'm like, there is no way I can surrender to anything. I am the most like type A person that you will ever meet. And then as I'm growing into this, I'm realizing how much of that Pisces energy that I see coming in, and it's such a journey. So if you read your sun sign, and you're like, I don't quite know, also remember it's who you are becoming. It's not, and it's your ego, right? It's your self-esteem. That's your sun sign. The other sign, the moon sign, is really juicy and interesting because the moon sign is how you feel. It's how you feel. It's what you need. It's what you need to be nurtured, right? So this is the sign that really tells your deepest emotional needs, right? So I'm a Gemini moon, guys. I need social activity. I need a lot of mental stability. You're gonna see me go like up and down. They're gonna be like, oh my gosh, one day she's so sad, she's happy, she's all these other emotions I can't even articulate. And I need variety, right? It's so much about the Gemini moon that's so interesting. But yeah, that's me, and that's what I need emotionally. I didn't know that was what I needed, but when I found out, I'm like, oh, that's where you were hiding. You were hiding in the moon sign. Got it, check. Last thing is the ascendant. The ascendant is also your rising sign, and this is kind of like like when you meet somebody, you're like, oh, like that's who you think they are. That's the mask that you put on for the world. It is kind of, it's like, to me, your signature style, you know? Unfortunately for you guys, I am a Pisces. I'm gonna come off like a Pisces. You're not gonna see any difference. But if you met someone and you're like, for their first impression of them, you're like, I'm not gonna get along with them. I don't think this is gonna work out between us. And then you get to know them and you're like, oh my gosh, they're the best person in the world. That is the true definition from the ascendant going to the sun, you know. And then you probably go into a deeper thing and you're like, oh my gosh, like when you start to see what their emotional needs are as you go through the relationship. But nonetheless, we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, the primary triad: sun, moon, and rising sign. So I'm gonna flip over my screen so I can give you guys an example of like what symbols to look for in your chart, and also I'm gonna use some like cool little diagrammy things so we can kind of go a little deeper into this. But yeah, so we're gonna flip. You're not gonna see this face anymore. We're gonna kind of go through an example on an astro.com chart and walk through that together. This is my example chart from astro.com. And the first thing that we're going to do is look for that sun sign that we discussed. So the sun has a little circle with another little dot in the middle. So that's where the sun is represented in the chart. So we're going to look at this person's chart here and look for their sun, which is right here. And I know that their sun is in Leo because of this symbol right here. So I don't expect you guys to know all of the signs and the symbols. So I'll put a link in the description box for you guys to use it as a quick reference. But I know this person's sun is in Leo. Now we're going to look for their moon sign. And the moon sign is a half crescent moon. It looks like this right here. So we're going to look around the chart for that. And we see that her moon is in Aquarius. And again, you can use that reference chart because each one of them have, each symbol represents a sign. So we know this moon is in Aquarius. And lastly, we're going to look for her ascendant, which is right here. Her ascendant is also the rising sign, guys. So I know her ascendant is in Aries. And also, if you hadn't noticed, a little trick on the astro.com chart, it tells you your sun sign here and your ascendant. So, and then also this little chart here tells you what sign is in as well. So either way would be helpful. If you're into astrology, I would say to start learning the symbols for all these signs. Okay, so we're gonna start back on the sun in Leo right here. So I would say that this person is going to become a fiery, creative, playful, and generous person who loves being the center of attention. That will be the goal. And I would presume that this person would need to yield to the universe to be able to perform in it. So understanding how everything works universally and then have that ability to perform in it. So this is where the sun in Leo will take place. And the cool thing about this chart is that this is the natural placement of the sun, which is amazing. So this is a dignified placement, and this person can control their circumstances. So very good place for the sun to be. So we're going to check out her moon next, right here. And again, guys, the moon is how you like to be nurtured, how you nurtured others. So because this person's moon is in Aquarius, I would say that they are very idealistic, inventive, original, analytical, creative. They will have to be able to nurture themselves that way, but that's how you may see them show love to you as well. They can also feel a little detached, act a little detached at times, or even become a rebel when being criticized. So that's one thing about the moon in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius. So they may nurture you in that way by like maybe helping you with your ideals or helping you be more original, or if you have a problem, helping you figure it out. So that's how that person would love to be nurtured and how they need to nurture themselves. And then lastly is the ascendant. So this again is how people see you, what part of yourself that you share with the world, your personality that people come across. And even the first house in general even talks about some of your appearance, but we're going to just focus on the ascendant right here. And I would say that this person likes to express themselves in a very enthusiastic way. They're very spontaneous, competitive, joyful, risk taker, action oriented, maybe a little impatient, because that's a thing that an Aries will do. But I also noticed in her chart that the ascendant is always in Aries, but I see a lot of her first house has Taurus energy. So you may see a very strong-willed person, patient person, down to earth person, very realistic person that loves luxury. I mean, maybe they may dress with, they dress really nice and their bags are nice and they carry themselves in a really luxurious way, very Victoria Beckham. That's her name, the girl from Spice Girls. I love her. Anyway, so you may, of course, you're going to see that Aries side, but you may come across a lot of this Taurus because it's a ton of it all right here. And I'm going to go a little more in depth with this chart just to kind of show you guys how crazy this all gets. I noticed in this chart that the moon here is in a really good relationship with the rising sign, the ascendant. And what I gathered from that relationship is that this person can express themselves pretty easily, but also may need to take some time to understand how they feel emotionally and how they're affecting others with their emotions. Another good relationship is with the Chiron, the wounded healer, the area that we experience pain but can help others in. It's also in really good relationship with the ascendant and the rising sign. And what I gather from that is this is a place where this person, like, people may see this person as a like, hey, you can help me with this issue, like off first impression, knowing like, hey, you can help me heal in this area. And for this person, it's in the area, in the third house, so it's the area of communications, maybe issues with siblings, with short-term distance, any kind of matters of the third house, which we didn't go over. But this person, like, people may see that, like, you can help me, but they also may see that this is something that they've personally struggled with in their lives, which makes them the perfect person to help, but they may have their wounds of their own that may or may not have been dealt with. So to recap, we know that the birth chart looks really confusing, but you can look at it to the angles of your sun, moon, and rising your sun, moon, and rising sign to start to get an idea of the core elements. And that's not even the best term I want to use, but the 3 cornerstones of who you are, right? If you want to get a little bit more hand-holding through this process, I do offer the chart readings for the sun, moon, and rising. It's just an introductory chart reading, just to get you started, just to get you to like have someone else to be like, hey, you know what you were thinking in your head is kind of right, and or you are looking at it from this good direction. There's really no right or wrong way, because I think this is really definitely an art form. But bottom line, you know, sometimes you just want somebody else to be like, I like the way you think. It's a beautiful mind. Yeah, so if you do want that, I put information in the description box of how I can help you do that. As always, I'm here on my channel doing things for you. So I will see you next time. Watch out for my, I'm gonna make a playlist of all things astrology. I'm gonna have different other playlists there too as well. But if you are interested, you wanna keep down this journey, down this rabbit hole, this is the way to go, right here. I'll see you guys next time.